Walt Disney World Resort has seen many changes over the years. We've seen a paper fast pass system come and go. We've seen attractions come and go and change and then rechange. There is always change happening at Walt Disney World, but now we're seeing a new, I'm going to call it a new era of change at Disney. Since the closure, Walt Disney World and many other parks around the country and around the world have taken the opportunity to rethink how they want to interact with guests and how they want guests to interact with all the great things they have to offer. We've seen this recently with park reservation systems, change in hours at the different parks, change of different activities, how you meet characters, and even fireworks and more. Disney and other theme parks are using this opportunity to gauge the guest response. Some of it has been positive. Many feel that, having lower crowds in the parks makes for a more enjoyable experience, and part of that has to do with the park reservation system. Part of me wishes that we could just go anytime, and another part of me wishes that, those low crowds are nice when you're in the park. It is that give and take, that back and forth, and we're seeing that happen with a lot of these different things that they're trying. While some of these changes have seen those two sides of the coin, some positives, some negatives, others kind of feel like, oh, I wish we had that back. Character meet and greets is a good example. For many of us, giving those characters a hug was a great way to just interact with the magic. See Mickey or Donald or whoever your favorite character is. Disney and other parks around the area had the opportunity to test kind of the socially distant interacting with the characters. You're waving at them from a distance. Even when we went to SeaWorld, we saw Elmo and Grover from a distance. We couldn't give them a hug. When we consider Walt Disney World, Disney's taken the approach of kind of putting those characters much further away on top of the train station and having characters kind of wave at us. Perhaps this won't only just kind of lead into the future, perhaps we're going to see more of these kind of distant characters. More crowded parks, it's difficult to have a character just walk through Main Street USA. Now maybe we'll see them from up high. I'm not saying that we won't be able to hug a character again, I'm saying that Disney could use this as a way to continue to share the magic with us in the future. One of the most significant changes that we've seen, and this was prior to the closing, is how Disney introduces a new ride. For example, Rise of the Resistance. Several years later, Rise of the Resistance is still using the virtual boarding group when you want to get on that attraction. There is no way to just walk up and enjoy it. You have to get a virtual time. It makes sense because you have more opportunities to do other things. You can still go on other attractions. Your time is linked to your My Disney Experience account. The question becomes, what will this mean for the future? In my opinion, for every new attraction we see at Walt Disney World, from this point forward, every major attraction, maybe some smaller ones, perhaps not, but every major attraction from Remy to Guardians of the Galaxy to Tron is going to copy Rise of the Resistance in terms of the boarding group. Simple reason, there are so many guests who are interested in these brand new attractions. Without having these virtual queues and boarding groups, people would be waiting for hours for these brand new attractions once they open. The bigger question here is, once it's had a significant amount of time, will an attraction like Rise of the Resistance ever not have a boarding group where you can just kind of stand in line? Will that ever change back? It's a good question, and I think at some point it will, but it still requires a bit of planning when you're thinking about an attraction like that. Now this brings us to the bigger topic of the day. Walt Disney World is changing, but it's always been changing, right? We've seen change in the past. This isn't new, it's just the type of change that's new for us. The biggest thing right now that guests, I believe, will experience that feels new, if you haven't been to Walt Disney World in a long time, you're gonna feel it, the need to plan more in advance. Whether it's a dining reservation, a park reservation, a boarding group, you name it, the need for that plan is more important than ever. Now, if you love planning, then this is perfect for you. You'll have the opportunity to plan in advance. I'm gonna go to this restaurant on this day, and then this park, and then Rise of the Resistance and Remy. You'll have that opportunity. What about those who don't like to plan as much? Those who like to plan will be at a significant advantage, but Disney has not forgotten those who do not want to plan. The Disney Genie app is still coming, we've talked about that before, but having that plan, even when they have the Disney Genie app, is still going to be super important. You're going to be ahead of the game if you have that plan in advance. The second part of this is changing your plan at Walt Disney World, and this is an even bigger change. I remember when I was young, we would go to one of my favorite parks and say, we're going to Epcot that day. Oh, we're having a great time. And then let's say the next morning we say, oh, we had Epcot scheduled for 2 more days, but you know what, let's go to Hollywood Studios instead. That last minute change was actually pretty common in my family. We used to do it all the time. We loved it. With this new layout, this new system, the new way that Disney's kind of put this together, that opportunity seems to be changing. At the present time, if you want to make a change like that at the last moment, that you're gonna cross your fingers and hope that there's a park reservation available for you to make that change, because if there isn't, you're gonna have to wait till Park Hop, if you have Park Hopper available, in the afternoon after 2 p.m. But let's say you don't have Park Hopper available and there's no more reservations available for Hollywood Studios as an example. Will you be able to go at all, or will you have to stick with that original plan? That's a bigger question. This ability for the guests to change plans at the last minute just because someone in your traveling party says, you know what, let's go back to Hollywood, we had so much fun, let's do it again tomorrow, we loved it, let's do that again. Having that ability is super important. I don't think Disney has forgotten it, I don't think so. But at this time, it's kind of difficult to do that. So what does that mean? In the future, will Disney have this opportunity for you to make that last minute change? I think so, I think yes. But Disney keeps referring to this park reservation system and how they want to have it around for a long time. It means one of two things. It means either A, they're planning on changing that reservation much easier, or B, getting the reservation in the first place is just super simple. Like, there's no need to worry about it because you can change it at any time. The big question comes down to the park reservation system. We've talked about this before. Disney has talked about having the park reservation system here for a long time. How long are they talking about? Is this 2 years? 3 years? How long do we need it? How long do they want it? I think at some point it's actually going to have to go away. Either go away or just become so easy, you just click a button, you can change to any park any day besides maybe Christmas Day. That would be the only exception. So it will vary. I'm really interested to see what the future looks like, but right now, being a planner at Walt Disney World definitely helps. Another change that we saw coming several years ago, and now we're starting to see it take place, are all of the IP changes all around Walt Disney World. From Moana at the Polynesian Village Resort to The Incredibles at the Contemporary, we're seeing more of the Disney movies and Disney IPs all around Walt Disney World. And there are definitely split opinions about this. There are some who feel like this is a great way to share in that story in a very unique way, whether you have Dash Dash running around, going from room to room at the steakhouse at the Wave, or you have Moana in your room kind of doing something with water, something like that. Something new, something exciting, something to bring the theme to you. But for some, it's not what you want. And I don't think Disney has forgotten you. If you're not interested in as many IPs, there are still going to be opportunities for kind of more of a subtle theme all around Walt Disney World. I'm thinking of places like Geyser Point, right? Places that are kind of off the beaten track a little bit, just kind of a little lounge, got some, pretty good food. You change these things up and it becomes a little bit more quiet at some of the other locations. Disney has been doing a tremendous amount of research about this. So for those who are saying, oh my gosh, Incredibles and all these themes, do we really want this at all of these locations? Disney's been polling guest after guest after guest for years to determine if this is something that guests will like, and based on all of their data, they're making these changes. Now, I have no doubt that guests are going to love the new Incredibles rooms and several of these changes that Disney are making. There's no question they will. Some of them they're going to want to kind of change it up, but I think they're going to try to appeal to as many guests as possible. Maybe that means that other restaurants will become more of the classic feel, and some resorts, like I'm thinking of Caribbean Beach or Coronado Springs, will maintain their theme and will not kind of pick up those IPs. We'll still have options no matter what we like at Walt Disney World. Now, there are always going to be things at Walt Disney World where some of us like it and some of us don't as much. Right? I'm thinking of dance parties all around Walt Disney World. Some love dance parties. Others feel like, you know what, I can skip that. You think of Boo Bash. Some are super excited for the Boo Bash. Others say, oh, what about Not So Scary? There's always going to be that back and forth. There's always going to be that, what about this? What about that? I prefer this, I prefer that. Disney's trying to balance this and try and find that perfect equilibrium for guests, where as many guests as possible can enjoy it. I've said it before, I will definitely say it again, everyone makes mistakes. No one is perfect. I'm not saying that mistakes are coming. Look, in the past, right? There are changes, for example, to Figment, where I prefer the old Figment ride. I think most people prefer the old Figment ride. Was the change a mistake? Maybe in some of our eyes, but it's part of the human experience. Eventually, Figment will have this amazing attraction. It will change. Again, we've been predicting that change forever. So no matter how you feel about something at Walt Disney World that's changing right now and you're a little unsure about it, not to worry. In time, things kind of come together to make a magical experience for all of us. I think the key is to remember what Disney means to all of us. It's that amazing experience. It's the magic. It's saying hi to Mickey or seeing the fireworks, the soundtracks, the smells, the food tastes. Just think about those things. Yes, things change. It's a dynamic environment. It's a business, dynamic environment. but no matter what, it's that feeling inside that makes the magic. Those are a few of my thoughts about some of the big changes we've been hearing about recently at Walt Disney World. Let me know yours in the comments below. Do you think the same way I do in terms of, these positives and negatives and Disney's trying to create that balance? Or do you think it's kind of focusing a different direction? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for being a part of the magic with me today. Until next time, have a magical day.